everybody, my name is Valerie Greenwell and welcome to Quilt Artistry. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the new fill trim patterns by Sweet Dreams Quilt Studio. There's 15 patterns in this collection and they're made a little bit different than, say, a regular flock pattern that you might want to use as a background fill. So each of these patterns are made using triangular sections. So what that means is it's going to stitch out the pattern that is all in that little triangular area before it moves to the next section. So if you're using it as a trim, that means that it's not going to have to jump from the left and right side of the pattern. And so it's going to result in fewer tie-offs. And if you're going to use it as a fill pattern, then you're not going to see that tracing back and forth that really builds up. So I really like the way these patterns are made, and there's a lot of variety in these patterns, so there's a lot to choose from. So I'll tell you what, let me get my computer set up, and we'll take a look on the computer and I'll show you what we've got. Okay, so here you can see we have all 15 patterns on screen, and if you take a close look at each of these patterns, you're going to see that it's designed much like quarter square triangle sections. So when you are stitching, let's say you're using a trim, what it's going to do is it's going to stitch to the center of where that trim is, and then it's going to stitch right back out before moving on to another section. So what that means is when you're using it as a trim, you're going to see fewer tie-offs. If you're using it as a fill, then you're going to see much less overstitching. So I have a few of these set up on screen over here on the other side. So let's take a look at how these look when we stitch them out. Okay, so this first one that we're going to look at is really nice. I like the way this one stitches because the lines come straight in and then they go straight back out. So if you're using this one as a trim, you're not going to see any tie-offs at all. And so what you're going to do is you're going to mark out your block area using your foundry tool, and then you're going to place this block inside the foundry. Then you're going to use draw trim to draw around your applique, and then this is what you're going to see. So let's take a look and see what this looks like when it stitches out. Ooh, let me slow that down. Okay, so as you can see, when it starts to stitch, it's going to go right into the center, and then it's going to come right back out. That's not going to have any tie-offs at all. So it's going to give you a very clean look and a very clean lines all the way around. So I really like the way that one stitches. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the same pattern using fill instead. So you're going to set your block, and then you're going to use the Draw Foundry tool to trace around your applique. And then you're going to select the pattern, right-click, and you can go to Fill Outside. And let's take a look at what that looks like. Okay, so then you'll see on this one, when we get ready to stitch it out, I don't think that we're going to see a big difference between how it looked as a trim and how it looks as a fill pattern. So let's hit F2 and watch it stitch. And see again, very clean lines. It stitches into the center and then it stitches right back out. So there isn't going to be any over tracing, any over stitching with this at all. So yeah, this is just a very clean pattern all the way around. Good for fill or good for trim, either one. Okay, so the second pattern that we're going to try is the circles or bubbles. So you're going to set your block pattern as usual and trace around your applique using draw trim. And then when we stitch this out, let's see here, let's do F2 and take a look at this. So as this stitches out, you'll see you still have some tie-offs on this, but it's going to be far fewer tie-offs than had we used a regular block pattern. So we're not without tie-offs on this one, but it's just going to be far less. So let me stop this and let's go down and take a look and see what this looks like in a fill. Okay, so we're going to take a look at this boho pattern as a fill instead of a trim. So again, you'll set your block just like you would, and you will trace around your applique using draw boundary, and then you will highlight your pattern and do a right click and do fill outside. Let's take a look here. All right. So now let's go ahead and hit F2 and watch this stitch out. So this one has a little bit of over tracing, but not very much over stitching. Not very much at all. Depending on where your applique is, you might have a spot or two where it stitches around, but far less than if this was a traditional block pattern and it was going back and forth across the block. So I really like the way this one stitches out. It's very clean, looks great. Okay, so the next pattern that we're going to look at is this simple meander. So again, you'll place your pattern just like you normally do, trace around your applique using draw trim, and now let's see what this one looks like in a stitch out. So as you can see, it'll kind of work its way around, and as it comes up to the edge of the applique, you'll have your trims right up along the edge, but there are very few. And it's just a very clean trim. So I like the way this one stitches out. Okay, so let me stop that. Now let's take a look and see what this one looks like in a fill. Okay, so now we are looking at this meander as a fill pattern. So again, you'll place your pattern. You'll trace around your applique using a draw boundary and highlight the pattern and do a right click and do fill outside. And all right, let's see what this one looks like when it stitches out. Okay, so again, these are very clean fills. There's not a lot of over tracing. There's a little tiny bit. But overall, in the grand scheme of things, this is way better than if we were looking at a standard block pattern. So I like the way these, I really like the way these stitch out. Okay, so we've talked a lot about using outside trim and outside fill, but sometimes you might want to fill inside of a special block or a basket, or, you just need a special design to go inside. So I chose this pattern to show as an inside fill because I really like the design that it makes when it fills. So you'll just trace around your block or your applique or whatever it is that you want to stitch inside of, and then you'll right click and you'll do a fill inside. Now let's zoom in and take a quick look at this. All right, so you'll see that it really trims very cleanly along the edges. My guess is that we're not going to see very much, if any, overstitching on this one at all, on that outside edge. So let's do F2 and watch this one stitch. You'll see this one goes out and then it just comes right back into the center. And it's just a very clean trace all the way around. I really like the way this one looks. Actually, I like the way they all look. You know, it's really nice when you have patterns that were actually designed to be used as fills or trims, because you get so much of a cleaner look, cleaner trims, cleaner tracing. In the end, it really just makes for a nicer looking stitched block. So, with that, I hope you guys have found this useful, and if you have any questions, please send me a message or give me a call, and I'll do my best to answer your questions. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.